On the night of December 15th, 2006, an unlisted lost episode of Family Guy aired on Fox. It was originally produced in 2006 as a Halloween special in Season 5, but it was cancelled and shelved because Fox thought it was too disturbing and frightening. They were right. No one knew this episode existed until it aired. The reason for why it randomly aired unannounced is unknown. It was rumored to have been a complete accident. The episode was entirely in black and white, had terrible quality, extremely bad audio, and the animation was done horribly. When it came on, the Family Guy theme song didn't appear. Instead, just a black screen and awkward silence. Then after about 30 seconds, a random beating noise started, and soon a message appeared that said, September 8th, 2006, Family Guy Episode X, The Black Dawn. The first shot shows the Griffin's kitchen. Lois has finished making breakfast, and she told Peter to call the kids. Chris and Stewie come downstairs, but not Meg. In here, everyone seems either very depressed or angry, and Brian oddly sits in the corner of the living room and doesn't talk. When Peter goes upstairs to get Meg, he sees her naked, cutting herself and drinking her own blood. He calls her name, and she starts running towards him and slits his throat. Pretty soon, Peter dies, and Meg shoves him in her closet. The family hears Peter fall to the floor in a rush to see what happened. They see Meg, covered in bloody razor blade cuts. Lois asked what happened to her, and then Peter falls out of the closet because Meg didn't do a good job putting him in there. The family is in shock, and Lois starts heavily sobbing. Meg then grabs an axe hidden under the bed and chops Lois's head off. She takes a bite out of her head. Stewie and Chris run downstairs to escape. They try to warn Brian, who's still sitting in the corner of the living room. He just ignores them. When they call him again, his head turns all the way around and he has a very creepy smile on his face. He looks possessed. He then tries to attack them. He chases them to the kitchen where Stewie grabs a knife and stabs him in the heart. Chris appears to be upset about what Stewie did, but he tells him he had no choice and quickly forgives him. Meg comes downstairs and chases them outside. They go and hide in the Swansons' house. They tell Joe about the situation. He then tries to deal with her, but she chops him with her axe and does the same to Bonnie. Chris and Stewie escape to their basement. A few days later, they come out and see that nearly everything has been destroyed. They find a newspaper and find that a virus broke out and the zombie apocalypse came. They stand in the middle of the road where there's nothing but dead silence. They then see Meg and several other zombies, including Peter and Brian, and the neighbors charging toward them. They also find a chainsaw lying on their front lawn. Stewie grabs it and starts killing zombies with it. Meg is the only one left still alive. But Stewie sees that Chris was killed by the zombies with his face eaten off. Stewie gets distracted by this and then gets killed by Meg. At this point, the quality gets even worse. Meg then takes her axe and accidentally chops her own head off. Then the scene pans out and cuts to static, and the episode ends. Okay, that was Family Guy Episode X, written by Ben Martinez. Review time. Man, I'm disappointed because this story had good build-up, a decent startup, and then all of a sudden, it cut to gore right away. Like, ugh. The build-up could have been extended upon so much, man. I'm sad. Like, my main negative with the story is how is this, out of all the Family Guy episodes that were shown, how is this the one that scares people the most? There's literally an episode of the series where Stewie gets pregnant with Brian's baby. And there's another one where he literally shares herpes with Brian. Like, that's pretty disgusting in its own right, enough. And the lessons taught in Modern Family Guy are kind of flimsy. So, what about this? What makes this so special compared to all of them? It's just a zombie apocalypse story. Oh, speaking of which, there's no motivation for what Meg did in the beginning. She just drinks her blood and then kills Peter, and then she cuts herself a bunch of times. And what? So, like, what was the point of that if she wasn't infected in the first place? Because near the ending, it was implied that she wasn't infected. She was like, Meg is the one who was still alive. She picks up an axe and accidentally chop. How do you accidentally chop your head off with an axe? You have to try very hard to do that. Oh man, this was this was sad. It cut to gore straight away. Uh, the buildup was getting worse and worse. It got more and more and more and more and more gory, just out of nowhere. Like, the main thing that ruined it was what Meg was doing in the beginning and how that had absolutely nothing to do with the story. And then it cuts to static. Static cliche. Uh, Static cliche. Blood cliche. Senseless blood, to be exact. Cliches can be done right in a story as long as you actually try to make it fit. As long as you, like, have it make sense within the context. I did a few stories of my own where I attempted to do something like that. Like, for example, library, sorry, library disc is a story. My attempt at making the bootleg DVD trope somewhat interesting. I'm not trying to call my own work interesting. I'm just saying that was my attempt at doing that. Here, it's just kind of a poor example. Anything could have been done better than this. The grammar is fine. It's missing a few words here and there. And the structuring is good. I like how it was spaced out between paragraphs. It's well organized. This just didn't turn out as good as the author was trying to make it. And I can certainly tell that this was written with competence, like I say a lot. So, Ben, if you're watching this, I sincerely hope you improve upon your writing. I'm sure you can come up with something much better than this. And yeah, that's pretty much it. That's all I have to say. Oh, another thing I wanted to mention. Brian. It's implied in the middle of the story that he's possessed. He looks possessed, and then he tries to attack them. But in the ending, there's just a bunch of zombies there. So therefore, like, Brian isn't meant to be a zombie from what I'm hearing, yet he attacks them just 'cause, like Meg was doing. Which I'm going to have to take a few points off. I'm going to get to the review. This is a 2 out of 10. It could have been so much better. I've seen much worse on Family Guy nowadays, and this was nothing special. But as always, this is simply my personal opinion. We all have our opinions regarding these pastas. What did you think of the pasta? What would you have done to improve upon it? And as always, I will see you all in the next narration. I love you all. Bless.